Hey Chris, hey guys, it's LKG and you're watching the Old Ass Retro Gamer.
Hello everybody, hello! Welcome to a long overdue video game collection live stream. Last 3 weeks have just been haven't been able to do any of these on Thursdays, work related mostly. Ended up having to stay really late, so didn't have time to actually do these streams, but I'm glad to be able to start this Dreamcast one, because the Dreamcast, the console that took me 8.5 years to collect every game that was released in the US, to make a complete US set. But I did it. It was a goal I set in 2013, end of 2013, beginning of 2014. And I finally did it a year and a half ago. It took forever. I kept on saying every year, I'm oh, by the end of the year, I'll have it done. By the end of the year, I'll have it done. No, it didn't happen. Finally just said, get it over with so you don't have to worry about it anymore. Almost 8 years. So, this is going to be part 1 of my Dreamcast collection streams. I have 4 long-ass shelves filled with Dreamcast stuff. We're talking the official US set stuff that I have, my complete collection, plus homebrews, plus repros, plus aftermarket games, everything. And today I'm going to start off with talking about all of the accessories that I have for this console. And this is probably the console where I have the most amount of accessories because I like it so much. And plus, the Dreamcast was doing a lot of new and different things. And the peripherals show that. So, what's my history with the Dreamcast? So, I was a huge fan of, I really, really liked the Sega Genesis. I inherited it from my brother when he decided he didn't want it anymore. What's up, TJ? Dreamcast! 12 years. Well, I did have some left over from when I had to sell my collection. There were certain games I didn't want to let go of. But, they weren't any of the expensive ones. It was all just stuff that I really liked playing because I still had and still do have my original Dreamcast that I bought back in 1999. So, when it comes to the Dreamcast, I really like the Sega Genesis. Really, really like the Sega CD. I was one of the only people, if not the only person in my group of friends that had a Sega Saturn, and I absolutely loved it. So, naturally, Sega announces their next big console, and I'm like, yes. Give it to me right now. What's up, Retro Coop? Welcome. Jaws. The shark missile. So, naturally, what do you do when you're a big fan of something? I immediately went out and pre-ordered it. I only have done this one other time at this point. I had done it for the Nintendo 64 because I was such a huge Super Nintendo fan, and also because they had been advertising that Killer Instinct was going to be coming to the Ultra 64, that I was like super stoked over it. Turned out I did not like the console at all. I still don't like it. But the Dreamcast, I was like, this is going to be the best thing. It had a Mortal Kombat game. It was basically like an altered port of Mortal Kombat 4 coming out on day one. Had ports of arcade games that I loved, like Soul Calibur and Hydro Thunder. And I'm trying to think what else. I had never played Power Stone, but like Power Stone was coming out, and that looked fantastic to me. I'm trying to think. Blue Stinger looked like a really cool Resident Evil style game. I was just like, yes, give it all to me right now. And a new Sonic game on day one. Let's do it. Yeah, I love the Dreamcast era. So do I. So I went to my local mall, went to the KB Toys where I've been talking about. I would always go and buy discount NES games when I was still in high school with my lunch money. Went there, pre-ordered my own console. And I think 3 games there. I pre-ordered, I think it was Sonic the Hedgehog, Mortal Kombat Gold, and Ready to Rumble. And then there was a Software Etc. on the other side of the mall, and I went over there, and Impulse Me was like, I'm going to pre-order all these other games I want. So it was like Power Stone, Blue Stinger, Ready to Rumble, I think. I think it was Ready to Rumble. I can't remember. I had so in the end, I had pre-ordered like 75% of the games that were coming out on day one, on top of the console and another controller. So console comes out on, September 9th, 1999, and I run out and I basically spend an entire paycheck in one shot. I was eating ramen for 2 weeks straight, and I got all my stuff, but there were problems. So I talked about this, I think, in my bad video game memories video that I did a long time ago, where I was talking about the Daniel Pacino thing and my PS3 crapping out when I was unemployed, and that was like my entertainment hub. And there was like 5 stories, and one of them was about this. So I bring my Dreamcast back to my place, I hook it up, I go to play Sonic the Hedgehog, and it won't load. I'm like, well, I got a bum game. Put it aside. Pop in Blue Stinger. Won't load. What? Take that out. Put in Ready to Rumble. Won't load. Take that out. Put Mortal Kombat Gold in. Won't load. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I put in Power Stone. Oh, look, it's playing. Yay. Put in Hydro Thunder. Oh, look, it's playing. You know, but like I had like 4 bum games off the bat. So I'm thinking that it was the Dreamcast. So I'm like, there's something wrong, because I'm like, 4 games on day one. It's not the games, it's the console. Like there's something wrong with it. It's not reading the discs properly. So I take the Dreamcast back to the KB Toys. I was really kind of friendly with the owner of the woman who was like the manager of that KB Toys. Every time I go in there to buy games, because I've been buying games there, like I said, since like high school, and she'd been there the whole time, and like we're really buddy. So I'm like, yeah, I hate to, do this on day one, but the Dreamcast doesn't work. Like it doesn't read half the games that I've bought. And she's like, yeah, a couple other people have brought them back too. I'm like, she's like, well, give it to me. We'll do an exchange. I'll give you another one. Here you go. I take it. I bring it home. I put all those games in that weren't working. They still aren't working. So I'm like, fuck, I got another bum one. Bring it back to the KB Toys. And she's like, again? I'm like, yeah, it's still not working. I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like I have, out of all the games I've bought, 4 of them just will not play on this thing. And I doubt it's the games themselves, because 1 I can understand. 4? So she's like, fine, here's another one. So should we do another exchange? I bring it home. Same thing happens. It's not playing all these games. So I wait until the next day, bring it back, and she's like looking at me like when I walk in the door with my Dreamcast under my arm, and she's just like, what? I'm like, I don't know. The Dreamcast just is not working. And she's like, this is the last time I'm exchanging a Dreamcast for you. And I'm like, okay, well, sorry. So she gives me the Dreamcast. And like from that point on, she never really talked to me when I would walk in the store. It was like she thought I was trying to pull a fast one on her. I'm like, have I ever like acted like I was like, have I ever stolen anything from the store? Have I ever acted like this before? Brought games back because I didn't like them, kind of thing, and say the game's broken. Can I get a different one? Nothing like that. The console didn't work. So she exchanges it. I bring it home. Same problem. And I'm like, this is some bullshit. I'm like, I'm stuck with a bum console now because she's not going to exchange it for me again. So I'm at the mall like 2 days later. In the meantime, I'm playing all those games on it that did work. Like Soul Calibur worked fine. I was playing the shit out of Soul Calibur. You would not believe how long I spent playing that game. So I went back to that mall like a week later, and I went into that software, etc. And the people that are behind the counter are talking to a bunch of customers, and everyone's talking about how they have these games on their Dreamcast that won't work, or their Dreamcasts don't work. And I walk over and I'm like, I overheard you talking about your Dreamcast games not working. I'm like, I'm having the exact same problem. I'm like, I have 4 games that I've bought that just don't work. And I thought it was the console. And the guy behind the counter is like, no, what it turns out is there was like a bunch of defective discs that went out. Most of them were from one company. And he gave me like the list of games that were crappy, that were released broken or defective. Sonic the Hedgehog, Blue Stinger, Ready to Rumble, and Mortal Kombat Gold. So I'm like, oh, I bought all those games. What can I do? And they're like, you're going to have to send the discs back to the company, and they'll send you, like, you have to contact them through email, and then they'll send you like the address, and then they will send you the replacement discs. I'm like, well, how long would that take? And they're like, we don't know. I mean, like, they have to make the replacement discs to begin with, so it could be months. I'm like, this is some bullshit. So that's exactly what I did. I went on the internet. I had to go to like a friend's house, I think, to do it. Got the addresses, sent the email, got a response, and they're like, yes, we have a replacement disc program. Send us your Sonic. Sega was like, send us your Sonic. Midway was like, send us your Mortal Kombat and your Ready to Rumble. And Activision was like, send us your Blue Stinger. And I did that, and I got my discs back months later, and they all worked. And which ones were from Midway that were fixed because they have that hot new label at the top of the instruction manual. So you can clearly see it when you're looking at the game case, full on. If it has hot new, that means it's one of the repaired ones. It's one of the good ones. So that's why that's there, according to the guy at the software, etc. So from that point on, I was like, okay, fine. And then new games are always coming out. I'm always going out and buying the new game. I always want to try all these new things because like all of these games that were arcade ports to this console were absolutely spot on, arcade perfect, fun as hell, even with a controller. Like Hydro Thunder, even though I wasn't sitting in, the cabinet with the wheel and all that and, using a throttle, I didn't care. It was just super fun just to be playing these in the comfort of my own home on my television. It was awesome. So all these other weird games, like Sega got real experimental with the Dreamcast and releasing like some games that did some really weird things with some really weird peripherals, and I will talk about them in a minute. And I really, really loved it. And I was super sad when, like, I think it was 2 years after it came out, it was like 2001, when they just out of nowhere canceled it because they went out, like, the US, Sega US, like, went bankrupt or whatever it was. And because Microsoft, Bill Gates, had developed the operating system that the Dreamcast uses, the guy who ran Sega of America or whatever had contacted Bill Gates and they're like, look, you helped us develop this console a little bit. We'd really be appreciative if you gave us a little bit of money to invest in the Dreamcast so we can keep it alive for a little bit longer. We see big things coming for it. Please help us out. And Microsoft went like, low key, all the stuff we learned helping you make your console, we're using to make our own. So we don't want any competition. Bye. And they bounced. And then it went bankrupt, or they went bankrupt or whatever. They went out of the console market game. They made nothing but games from that point on, software. They became a pure software company. That was a day one for you. See, that was one of the ones that I did not buy. All these messages just randomly popped up in a row. It was like, love the Dreamcast era. Thanks, made it to the stream tonight. Let's continue. And that was it. And then all of a sudden, 20 messages popped up at once. So Tokyo Extreme Racer was day one for us. Yeah, I didn't have that. Ready to Rumble. Yeah, wow. Dreamcast. Yeah, hey, what's up, Mundane? Same old school headaches right there, man. Crazy. Had a similar issue. Found out by overhearing people at the mall. Went through 3 copies of Sonic Adventure. Thankfully, found a disc that worked. Nice. Cast my dreams to the nights. What's up, Peter? Sorry to hear about that, y'all. Kenna loves playing Crazy Taxi on the Dreamcast. Crazy Taxi was also one that I pre-ordered. Loved that game. Played that to... I still have nightmares right here. Don't go into the light. Where I hear the Offsprings, yeah, like randomly. Like I see Crazy Taxi, and that just immediately pops into my head the amount of times I had to hear that, or I had to listen to that song from playing that game. So I, to this day, have a gigantic, or a lot of peripherals for this console. Like I said, there's a lot of weird ones. So we'll start off with my OG Dreamcast that I've had since 1999. This is technically the 4th one that I had because this is the one that I exchanged. This is the 4th one that I had to replace at that KB Toys, and it's a little bit dusty because I haven't used it. So here we are. It hasn't yellowed or anything. It's still the same old color it has been because I keep these in my closet inside a tote, so like a lot of air doesn't get to it. And it still works. Only problem is my last, 2 TVs ago, I had a Sony, I don't know if it was considered a Bravia, but it was like their big high-end HD TV that they released in 2007. And it had VGA, a VGA port in the back. So I was using my Dreamcast, I was playing my Dreamcast through the VGA cable. Only thing was when I got rid of that TV and now I had to start using the regular component or composite cables or whatever they were, I forgot to switch this back into that mode. So it's still stuck in VGA mode and I can't play it without switching it back. But I have no way to actually hook this up through VGA until now. At the end of this month when I go to Midwest Gaming Classic, I'm going to be actually staying over at Rocket Sauce's house in Wisconsin, and he still hooks his Dreamcast up through VGA on his TV. So I'm going to bring this with me, hook it up, switch it back, and I can start using it again because when it comes to like homebrews and stuff like that and hacks, this plays them all. This original version of the console plays them all. Let me see, where can I put this? I'll put this right here. Because I couldn't play the my original anymore, I had to find an option since I knew nobody that had VGA ports that I could use. Hang on a second. I don't have a monitor at work with VGA, no. And my Mac is like, it's an iMac. It's like all-encompassing. There's no VGA ports on that. I tried hooking it up to my laptop. It didn't want to work because that had a VGA port. My old laptop had a VGA port. It did not want to work. So I went to Minnesota 2 years ago. So this was in 2021. right after Thanksgiving to visit the Game Grinder and Cardboard Zero, and they took me out shopping. And the game store that Cardboard Zero worked at had a Sports Edition Sega Dreamcast available, and they discounted it for me because Cardboard Zero was like, "Oh no, since I know you, I can get you a discount and all that." And I bought it there so I can actually start playing my Dreamcast games again. And this is the one I like the most. I love the all black console. I love the way it looks, even though it has Sega Sports on the top. Whatevs. But I love the look of this one, but this one will not play any of my repros or hacks or any of those things, which kind of stinks. But this one is the one I've been using currently. And I did get a black controller. I actually got 2 black controllers with that Sports Edition. And this is the original Dreamcast controller that I've had since I got my Dreamcast. This is my original Dreamcast controller. Still tight joystick or a little joystick or whatever. It works just fine. And because when I got back into collecting, I had a big retro gaming birthday party, and I invited all my friends over. I wanted to be able to play a whole bunch of multiplayer games on all my different consoles, like the N64 and the Dreamcast and all that. So I bought a whole bunch of extra controllers. One of them I do not feel like digging out of my goddamn closet. It's buried underneath a whole bunch of stuff. I didn't feel like unearthing it. But I have one of those crystal blue ones. But the one that I did have separate from the ones in the container in there is one of these crystal green ones. And it's basically just a standard controller with a clear plate on the top so you can see all the inner workings of the controller. I have the blue one of this, like I said. That was the one I was using the most when I got back into collecting in 2023 to play my Dreamcast. I found that at Disc Replay, which is that store I keep on forgetting the name of. That was by my job. Then it shut down. I remember I bought that there for like $10, which was awesome. And then there's all these weird peripherals that came out for this stupid thing. You still have old tech. Peter, get with the times, man. So I don't recall having one of these back in the day. I honestly don't. What is this, a Rumble Pack? This isn't the Rumble Pack. I don't know what the hell this is. Is that a memory pack? I don't know. It's in the back of this thing. But when I got back into collecting, I went online and I bought as many peripherals as I possibly could. And I bought this Mad Catz light gun. And it has this built into had this in the back. I don't know what the hell that is. Memory card, perhaps? But it was here in the card slot. And I have not used this because I do not have a CRT, but just in case I got one, I wanted to have this on hand because I love light gun games. And I hear this one's actually pretty good. Or this one by Mad Catz is actually pretty good. Multi-memory card. I can tell by the 4 little lights on the back. That's the 5-in-1. Hell yeah. And I also picked this one up off of, I think, eBay when I first got back into collecting, but I found the Dreamcast mouse still in the box. This has never been opened. It's still sealed. The tape is still on the back. Haven't had a need to use it, at least not yet. But that's kind of cool that it had a mouse at all. It even has like the little scroll wheel and everything, which is kind of rad. Also so one of the unique things about the Dreamcast controller, other than the way it's designed, which I mean, everyone complains about the fact that the cord comes out the bottom and you kind of have to use this little clip in the back to hold it in place so it comes out the top. But it's because of these 2 slots in the back that there's nowhere to put the cable output. So there were Rumble packs available for the Dreamcast, which I do have in that box over there that I did not feel like digging them out. And the memory cards were called VMUs. And the reason there's a hole in the front of your controller is because the VMUs, like this boxed one that I have right here, that is that blue color that my controller is. And I actually do have another one of these out of box that I was using as that's probably in that blue controller that I have in there. I have one out of box that I use as my primary VMU. The screen on it shows through that hole, and it usually gives you important information of the game you're playing. And other times it just tells you the name of the game you're playing just in case you forgot. But like when it comes to Resident Evil, Code Veronica, or 2 or 3, they show like your health, like your little heart monitor thing in there to help you out so you don't have to like go into a menu. It's kind of cool that it's right there in front of you. And you can also, because these have controls on it, you can see the little D-pad and the A and B button. You can play some mini games on here, like there's a little Chow mini game thing that you can download into this thing from Sonic Adventure, and it's like playing like a Tamagotchi type of deal. That's kind of cool. Only thing is the batteries on these things last for 20 minutes. I have changed batteries on these things more times than I can count. And it's like you use it for like a half an hour and then the batteries are dead. So basically I only use them when they're in the controller. They save them the game information no matter if there's a battery in it or not. The moment the power comes through the controller into this thing, it turns on and it works less like every other. Like it works just like it had batteries in them. Tongue work for me, okay? Like help me out here. I'm struggling. So I had a bunch of these back in the day, and now the ones I've been buying are like different colored ones, so I know which ones are which and have which games on them. Also had to buy this because a bunch of the games that I had to get my complete collection require this controller. The fishing controller. It's to mimic the fishing controller from the Sega Bass Fishing arcade cabinet, which kind of had the same kind of a deal. This mimics it very well, and it is actually kind of a motion controller at the same time, way before the Wii. Damn right. And you can also use this to play Soul Calibur, apparently. The Rod. Yes. Have not opened the box. I bought this one used off of eBay when I got real close to finishing off my set because I bought all the rest of the fishing games, and I was like, it'd be kind of cool if I had this to use as I play those games. So for Pole Caliber, yep, that's exactly right. Pole Caliber, that's awesome. But the big peripheral that I used almost every single day, because one of the cool things about the Dreamcast was it was online capable. It became how I browsed the internet. I had to get an Earthlink account, I think it was, and I could browse from the comfort of my own bedroom. Because when this came out, I was still living at home. And I did. The only thing was, every single time I'd be on the internet, because, back then, everything was the 56K, the kind of crap. And I'd be hogging the house phone with me doing whatever I was doing online. And I every single day, get off the fucking phone! Come on, Chris! I was like, I played a little bit of Phantasy Star Online, the original one. I played that a little bit. I played a little bit of, I think it was Quake 3 online a little bit. But for the most part, I was just surfing the web. Like, I remember, like, when Amazon first started up, I was ordering stuff from Amazon from my Dreamcast. It was awesome. Surfing the web, like going all the different gaming websites and stuff. Didn't really watch videos or display pictures very well, so I didn't bother with that kind of stuff. I remember I tried to watch the Phantom Menace trailer from it, and I was like, nah, this ain't happening. But it was just really cool. So what do you need to surf the internet with if you're using a PC? You need the keyboard. So this I used every single day that I was surfing the internet. Every single day. Sending emails, playing on Phantasy Star Online, all that kind of stuff. And it's a very good keyboard. I really enjoyed it. It was really cool. Never thought I would ever have a keyboard for a video game console, but that's just the way it worked out. And I still have it in box, which is awesome. Got that dirt cheap because I wanted to play a certain typing game that came out for this console, which I love. Let me get these controllers out of here so I'm not tripping over them and having them fall all over me. Okay. And these... And like I said, I do have extra controllers and extra VMUs in my closet. So, yes, I did not feel like tearing my closet apart to find them because I've just been using the Sports Edition to play my games recently. Typing of the Dead. What's up, Justin? Yeah, it's showing off the black Sega Sports Dreamcast I bought at your store when I was visiting you guys in Michigan. Michigan. What the hell? Minnesota. So let's get into these games. So, like I said, complete US set, y'all. There's a lot of... Okay, there's one thing I will say about this console when it comes to the games is way too many racing games, and way too many sports games. I expect the sports games. I was not expecting the racing games. A lot of people complain that it had too many fighting games. I don't think it had enough. But the racing games seriously, it gets ridiculous. And the fact that most of them are pretty crappy is kind of the worst part of it. If they were fun, I would not mind, but they are pretty bad. But this one's a good one. And that's Four Wheel Thunder. It's a take on the Arctic Thunder formula. Instead of racing boats, speedboats, you're racing four-wheelers. What do they call them? Off-road vehicles. And it's very arcadey, and it also has like a multiplayer mode. And it's actually pretty fun. I have never in my entire life seen an arcade cabinet of this. If it was an arcade game, I did not know it existed, but I don't care. As a Dreamcast game, it's pretty rad. I like it a lot. But then on the other flip side of that, we've got 4x4 Evo, which I do not think is a good game. Usually, who is this by? Terminal Reality. What's the one developer? Crave. Crave was like the real big hit or miss developer for this console for me. But sometimes they did some really good stuff. Like there's a couple I'm going to talk about in about a minute or two that I really like. But for the most part, their stuff was like, but this was, this Terminal Reality. This is garbage. It is like the bare bones racing game, off-road type of stuff. It is not fun. It has a lot of it has multiplayer, online multiplayer. You can use the modem. It uses the VGA. It uses the keyboard probably so you can taunt other players. What does that say? And the racing controller. That's the one thing I still need to get is like a racing controller and an arcade stick. Lighten up, camera! You're killing me here. Why did it get all dark? You suck. Oh, yeah, I do have the mouse. I showed that off earlier. Still in the box. Yeah, it's not good. This is an arcade game I have seen because they still have it. Well, the theater actually closed down like a couple of months ago, but they've had this arcade cabinet since like 1999. And they still have it there. Well, they had before they shut down. But 18-wheeler American Pro Trucker. And it's an arcade game that is by Sega, and it is kind of like playing Crazy. I mean, the graphics remind me of Crazy Taxi, but you're driving a semi, and you're just trying to get from point A to point B within a time limit and not try to like cause a bunch of damage. It's fun, but it's also kind of strange that I'm playing a racing game with a semi carrying a big load of gas. Huh? But it is fun. It is cool. It's different. Like I said, Sega was experimenting. This I have a story about. So we have 102 Dalmatians, puppies to the rescue. In a million years, I love licensed games. You all know this. I'd never in a million years would have bought this. And the funny thing is, I bought this at that retro store I used to go to called People Play Games. And why is it so dark now? Jesus, I hate the camera in this computer. I really do. It's probably because of my shirt. If I was wearing a black shirt, I wouldn't be doing that. Maybe I should go change my shirt. Anyway, like I said, I would never in a million years buy this game because I don't care about this license whatsoever. So I'm at that store, People Play Games, and I'm going for the complete collection, obviously. So I'm buying all these Dreamcast games that they had real cheap that I didn't have yet. And I bring this up to the counter, and the guy was ringing me up. Ended up becoming like a guy that I got real personable with. He ended up giving me like super discounts when they were closing down. He sees this on the top of it, and he goes, "You going for a complete collection, huh?" Because nobody would have bought this game unless they absolutely had to. And I laughed so hard. That was like our little bonding moment. I'm like, yeah, I kind of am. So, yeah, that's why I'm buying it. But it's like a 3D platformer, and it's not good. I've owned this since probably 2015, and I've played it for a grand total of 6 minutes. As much time as I was willing to devote to it because I just wanted to see if the disc worked and if I needed to bring it back to the store. This one, is this the one that I got from? Yeah. So, was it? No, that was. No, this was. Okay, so here we have Arrow Wings. It is a franchise that was trying to kick off on this console. And it's another one of those aerial dog fighting games that I like so much. It's okay. I got this from my cousin in Ohio. When I got back into collecting, it was right around the time when my dad died. And we went to Ohio to visit my dad's family for the funeral. And my mother for Christmas was like, hey, your cousin Aaron, no, not Aaron, my cousin Angelo was getting a PlayStation 3 for Christmas, so he didn't want his Wii anymore. And I was looking for a Wii to add to my collection. And she goes, oh, your cousin is getting rid of his Wii so he can get a PlayStation 3, and he's getting rid of all of his games. And Mom's like, I'll buy it for you for Christmas. You know, I'll buy his collection off of him and his console. I'm like, what are you giving him for it? She's like, he only wants $50 for like 60 games and the Wii. I'm like, no, $50. Yeah, it was $50. Yeah, $50 for like 60 games and the Wii. I was like, God damn. And there was some good stuff in there. So when we got to their house, they bring me down into the basement. My cousins bring me down into the basement where the Wii was, and we're gathering everything up, and we're going through like these like containers that they had with all the controllers. And I start pulling out Dreamcast stuff, and I'm like, what about this stuff? And my cousin, you know, Angelo's dad, is like, just take it. Just take it with you with the rest of this stuff. We don't want it anymore. We don't even have a Dreamcast anymore. And one of them was this Arrow Wings game. So I was like, okay, cool. I got a free Dreamcast game I didn't have. The only thing was it was just the disc and the manual. So I had to find the back art and get a new jewel case for it. But that was fine. I found the back art for like $1 on eBay. So yeah, it's an all right game. And here's one by Crave that I was talking about. This is one of their decent ones. Yeah, like I said, they were trying to kick off a franchise. So they made Arrow Wings 2 Airstrike. And this one is better. Focuses a little bit more on the multiplayer part of it, but the graphics and everything has been improved. But it's just another like aerial dogfight game trying to be like a less arcadey version of what's it called? Afterburner. If anybody's talking, this thing is not moving. But we have this other one by Konami, which is the one that I liked, and this is called Air Force Delta. This actually did become a franchise because I have one of these games for, I think it's my PS2. And this is another aerial dogfight simulator, but this one is a little more arcadey and a little more futuristic. It's a lot more fun. The graphics are definitely a hell of a lot better. But outside of that, not really much to talk about. But at least, you know, Konami had a decent presence on this console. Here is an Aftermarket game that I have not opened yet because it is, yeah, I bought it just because. So the Dreamcast has had a really nice aftermarket presence. Like, you know, the console died in 2001 and there's still brand new games not counted officially toward the US set, but there's like a constant stream of newer games, mostly ports from other consoles to this console, and I'm all for it. You keep this thing alive because I love it. I'll be here to buy them, and I've been trying to do that too. Fly Through the Mountain, I don't remember what that refers to because I haven't played that game all that much, but one of the ones that I picked up is Alice's Mom's Rescue. That is the dumbest fucking name for a video game ever. I remember hearing about this through Adam Koralik, who's going to be at the Midwest Gaming Classic at the end of the month. He is a Chicago YouTuber also. He is also a big Dreamcast fan. He has a complete collection also. And I think he has where he has all the Japanese Dreamcast games that never came out over here. He has all of those too. But it's a platformer that looks really generic. It looks like it's trying to rip off Mario Brothers a little bit, but I never had the urge to open it up. I got it real cheap off of eBay. And this is from Josh. Was it Josh Prod? Yeah, Josh Prod. Yep, you can see it on the spine. Josh Prod. Josh Prod is the company that's been releasing the majority of these aftermarket games, and you're going to see that a lot when I'm talking about these things. Next up it came in an oversized box because this is one of the games that came with a weird peripheral, and that is Alien Front Online. So this is a tank game that has it's supposed to be played online. It does have a single player, but it comes with where are you? There you are. Get your ass over here. This peripheral that snaps into the memory card port on the back of the controller, it comes with a microphone, so you can trash talk. Another game that I'll be talking about in a future Dreamcast live stream uses this for other reasons. But I thought this was the coolest freaking thing I had ever seen back then. I did not own this game back in the day. The only one I owned with the microphone was the other game I'll be talking about later. I found out about Alien Front Online way after the fact when I got back into collecting in 2013. So it's just strange, but like I said, Sega was just doing a lot of weird things to try to keep the interest in the console, keep it away from Sony. Get in there, and Nintendo. So I was all for it because this was interesting stuff, and being able to like trash talk people online, pre Halo, is kind of cool. So here's the game itself. I still haven't opened it. I have not played it. So there's that. Get your ass in there, bro. Why am I putting the game back in there? It's going on my shelf. You a dumbass, Chris. You so stupid. So, yeah, you can see on the back, it's like a third-person tank combat game. You're like in arenas and stuff like that. It looks kind of cool. So, but I have not played it. I planned on opening that for that party, but a certain game killed the momentum for the Dreamcast, and we switched over to the Wii U instead and started playing Smash Brothers. With the Dreamcast, the Honda Civic of consoles with all the other aftermarket games. I know, right? Sadly, I don't have the boxer mic for Alien Front, but I do have it for Seaman. Stop! Don't be a spoiler, bro. Spoilers. God, why you gotta kill my flow, bro? Yeah, Seaman's the other game. Why you gotta steal my flavor? Anyway. Okay, so this is one of the few hacks that actually does work. I keep on getting my past, present, future things mixed up. I'm tired. This is one of the few hacks that actually works on my Sega Sports Dreamcast. So I beat this one like the night that I started playing it. It ended up being like really short. It's only like 3 stages, but it's like a hack of a really cool arcade game that never got an official port to any console. So I was thrilled about that. Plus it's 2 franchises that I absolutely love. It's a licensed game. Duh! Alien vs. Predator Aftermath. So you see down there Beats of Rage. It's like I don't think it's a program, but it's like with the Mortal Kombat hacks, they're all like called Mugen. Beats of Rage is like this hacking program that you can use to like make your own beat 'em up type games. So this is like one of those. It used the arcade code of the Aliens vs. Predator game and added in a whole bunch of new stuff and made new levels and new enemies and stuff like that. It is really, really cool. So it's a beat 'em up where you're playing as you're playing as the Predators and the Space Marines that you play through with the arcade. So you've got 2 Predators with different speeds and strengths and 2 humans that don't really have like the gun power that they did in the official Aliens game, which I really wish got a port somewhere. But it's only 3 stages and it's really easy. But I played the crap out of it. I played crap out of it 3 times in a row. I beat it 3 times in one night because I wanted to play through it with all the other characters. And it's fantastic. It's really fun. And I got this off of an Etsy shop that does not exist anymore, sadly. So I was really super stoked to get a copy of that. And that it actually works on my Sega Sports one. But that's the only one that did. It made me sad. Because I bought 4 games at once when I got that. And I'll talk about them later. So next up we have Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare. I got this off of Nintendo. He was selling... it was when... I think it was like in 2015 or 16, I'm going to make this US set my priority from this point on. All I'm going to be doing is buying Dreamcast games. That didn't happen. But I contacted Nintendo because I knew he collected Dreamcast stuff. And I was like, dude, if you have any Dreamcast stuff you want to get rid of, let me know. And he goes, yeah, actually I have 2 of them. And this was one of them. The other one I'll talk about later. TG already spoiled it. But this is a survival horror game. It's a sequel to this PC series, Alone in the Dark. I have one of them for the 3DO. And these are actually really cool games. We got a reboot on the PlayStation 2, right at the end of the PlayStation 2 and Xbox, going into the 360 and the PS3, and they got ports there too. But they're really cool alternative Resident Evil style survival horror games that I do enjoy. I need to sit down and just play through the ones that I do have on hand. So I was really thrilled about that. It is 2 discs, right? Yeah, it is 2 discs. So that's why it comes in the oversized case. Next up is one of the games that I played so much. I never actually beat it, but I love this game, and I was always telling my friends, like, if you have a Dreamcast, and a couple of my friends did, I was like, you need to get this game. It is freaking fantastic. And that is Armada. I would consider this a diamond in the rough for this console. So it's like a roguelike shmup, kind of. Open world, a little bit. It's been a long time since I've played it, but it's like you can go to different planets and you have like free roaming over the planet. There's enemies in orbit of every single planet. You can kill them. If they kill you, you have to start over from the beginning, kind of thing. It is really fun. It is really challenging, but I loved it because I'm a huge sci-fi fan, and this like really grabbed me from day one. The graphics, excuse me, I got the hiccups, are fantastic. Play control, everything about it was awesome. So I actually, once I'm done with the RPG thing, I need to go back and try to beat that. Oh, God, I got the hiccups. Woo! Here's another aftermarket game, another one from Josh Prott. I have not opened this, so I cannot comment on it, but it is a horizontally scrolling shmup called Armed 17. I do believe this is on a compilation for the Switch, and I think I do own it. I think I do. I got this through Pixel Heart. And Pixel Heart also released the compilation for the Switch that has like a bunch of these aftermarket Dreamcast games on it. So the thing was, when I picked this up, I bought this through Pixel Heart's website. I pre-ordered it. Well, I didn't pre-order it. They had it available. But in the same order, I ordered something that was a pre-order. And it was that Rainbow Bright Nintendo game that I have. So this ended up being in like some holding pattern. It was the Rainbow Bright that I was waiting on, and it was Wallachia on the PS4. And this was like in a holding pattern, and I completely forgot that I had pre-ordered it, or that I had ordered it through them. Completely forgot. Go to the Midwest Gaming Classic in 2011, and Pixel Heart has a table there. And they had this sitting on the table, and I grabbed this and another game, another one of their aftermarket games that they were selling. And I was sitting there going like, which one do I want? I'm only going to allow myself to buy one because I was on a limited budget for that convention. And I was like, I'll get the other one. I don't remember what it was. If I talk about it, I'll let you know. So I put this one down, thankfully, because I would have been super pissed if another copy of this had showed up in the mail a few months later. But it looks really cool. Most of these aftermarket games are shmups because they're probably really easy to program. But I don't care. I love shmups, so yay. I think I'm going to go and change my shirt, guys, because it is making everything super dark. I'll be back in a minute. Hang on. And I also realized I never turned on my Mortal Kombat Arcade 1-Up for the background. Never said it was bright. Anyway. Missed out on a perfect spot for OnlyFans. Gross. Anyway. Next up we have Army Men Sarge's Heroes. This is like this long-running franchise that I never understood. Started on the PlayStation 1. I think it started on PC, and then it came to the PlayStation 1, and it became huge, and we just kept on getting more and more of them. Could not understand it. This is a third-person action game where you're playing as, army men. You're the green guys, and you're trying to take out the tan guys. That's all there is to it. It's nothing to write home about. And I remember I captured footage for this, or of this, for like a pickup video that I did. No, it was one of my Dreamcasting episode where I talked about that, because I captured all the footage for all the games I talked about in those episodes usually. And I was like, wow. Like, I still, like, now that I've actually played this, I still don't understand what the appeal to this was in the first place. Like, why is this a thing that has lasted this long? Like Assassin's Creed. Hot take. Next up, we have a compilation, which I played a lot back in the day, and that is the Atari Anniversary Edition. This has, like, arcade versions of classic Atari games like Tempest and Centipede and, Tempest, Centipede, Asteroids Deluxe, Battlezone, Crystal Castles, Gravitar, Millipede, Missile Command, Pong, Super Breakout, and Warlords. Each one is faithfully reproduced down to the last detail, except they're not really, at least in the case of like Asteroids, vector graphics, but they still thought that counts. But yeah, I played this all the time because, back then, am I going to go out and buy an arcade cabinet so I can play Breakout? No. This is the next best thing. So I loved compilations like this. I still do to this day. I mean, come on. I bought that other Atari one for the PS5. I mean, damn. I mean, if you guys just want to see my nipples, just ask. I mean, come on. You don't have to, like, put OnlyFans stuff in there. Here's another Josh Prod aftermarket game that I picked up when I went out game hunting through Wisconsin with Rocket Sauce, Captain Algebra, and Tiger Chainsaw back in August of last year. And that is Bang Bang Busters. So it says, you can see it, it says Bang Squared. There's a little 2 there, Bang Bang, but on the side it says Bang Squared Busters, but it's Bang Bang Busters. I have not played it. It is still sealed, but it looks a lot like Bubble Bobble mixed with Buster Brothers. So you can see the pictures on the back. And it looks super fun. I was like, look, our cool arcadey action puzzle game. Yes, give it to me. Absolutely. This is one of my favorite games because this was developed by Treasure. That is Bangai-O. I don't think this has its subtitle, but yeah, Bangai-O. So it's hard to describe what this game is supposed to be, but it's kind of like a shmup puzzle game. So like you're playing as this giant mech, but in the game itself, you're super tiny. And it's like you have this level you need to get out of, like this arena. And you have like missiles that need to use to destroy certain things to let you get out. You have to collect, I think, carrots, if I remember right. And like once you run out of rockets, you're done. If you haven't figured out exactly where to shoot and what to shoot and how many rockets to shoot at it, it's like you got to start over. And it's really, really cool. But the thing is, you can shoot like, you can see it in that picture there, hundreds of rockets at once and just litter the screen with them. It is really, really cool. I liked it a lot. It's like I said, it's kind of like a puzzle game shooter or shmup. So there's this, I think, had a couple of other versions on other consoles. I think there's one on the DS or something. But that's the only one that I do own. This one I picked up really early on in collecting. I got this off of Amazon for, I think, 50 cents. It's brand new. It's called Bang Gunship Elite, and I have not played it. It's still sealed. But it looks like a outer space shooter, but it's in the cockpit. I mean, it looks kind of cool. I probably should bust it open and give it a shot. But, yeah, I mean, it looks neat. And like Wing Commander style games, I should give this a go. But it's by this company I've never heard of before. What is that called? I can't even read it. Ubisoft released it. Okay, whatever. But never heard of that even when I was, the Dreamcast originally came out. Okay, next up we have one of those problematic games, and that is Blue Stinger. This is a Resident Evil type of survival horror game, but this one is more like sci-fi. you're this kid that's like trapped on this island, and there was like a meteorite that crashed. I think, if I remember correctly, it was like a meteorite crashed, and it like caused, meteorite collides with the remote biotech research island. You begin to discover uncontrollable madness unleashed. Yeah, it creates like mutants, and you have to like hunt the mutants. And I remember you have to like go up to soda machines and steal and get cans of cola to refill your health. The controls were kind of clunky. I remember that much because I did not spend a whole lot of time playing this. I liked it, don't get me wrong, but it's like, number one, this was one of those games that wasn't working. So I played all those other games that were working on my Dreamcast. And then when the disc finally came, I was like, I can finally play this. And I'm playing it. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I'd rather still play those other games like Soul Calibur and stuff. So I never really put a whole lot of time into it, but I probably should. Maybe next year will be my year of survival horror. I don't know. But the graphics always looked kind of cool. That's why I pre-ordered it, because I saw these pictures on the back of the demo box they had at the store, and I was like, goodness, want. I found this at Half Price Books, and like I think it was like $35. Like I got a deal. Like they did not know what they had. But I got Bomberman Online, and this is like your standard Bomberman game, except this one is in kind of like faux 3D. It's like in the 3/4 view a little bit. And the primary way you're supposed to play this is like online. Obviously, it's in the title, but it does have a multiplayer mode, like couch co-op, or not couch co-op, a couch multiplayer. I can't talk. I can't words. Tank controls like Resident Evil. Yeah, I remember that one not doing the tank stuff. But it's pretty cool. I tried it out when I first got it to make sure it worked. I didn't want to buy one of these expensive games and find out it's a freaking dud. So, yeah. I love Bomberman. I am toying with the idea of maybe getting a copy of Bomberman on the Sega Saturn at the Midwest Gaming Classic. I'm toying with it because we played it at Mo Game Con multiplayer last year, and I was like, this is the most fun I've had in a long time playing, with people, like a multiplayer game. I'm like, I want it so bad. We'll see. This is one I got from Play Asia, but it's another Josh Prod aftermarket game. And this is where things got kind of like, I started to realize the pattern forming about which games were coming out for these these aftermarket games, like where they were coming from. So we got another Josh Prod, and this is Breakers. So I thought this was like a brand new game, like that Alice's Mom's Rescue. It's a brand new game. That Bang Bang Busters is a brand new game. This is a port of a Neo Geo CD game, but it's a one-on-one fighter, and it does feel like a Neo Geo game, Neo Geo fighting game. Reminds me a lot of like Fatal Fury, and it's really, really cool. This was like one of the first aftermarket games I ever bought for this console. So, yep. And then we have an old standby. And why is this loose? Oh, I need to get a new jewel case for this because this is trashed. We have Bust a Move 4. Why not? Every other console had a Bust a Move game on it. Might as well put one on the Dreamcast. And you know what? I can't complain because I absolutely love Bust a Move. Like I said, we had that party in like 1996, I think it was. And everyone wanted to play Bust a Move 3 on my Saturn and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 all night long. That's all they wanted to do. Oh, and Baku. But yeah, it's a simple puzzle game. Popping colored bubbles, match them up with the same color that you're shooting at them from the bottom of the screen. Pop them until another left. Continue on. Multiplayer mode and everything. The cover is a little like metallic, reflective, which is kind of cool. Hey. This is a turd, but licensed game. Had to have it. Yeah, it's your fave. I need to spend more time playing those games. I love them. I keep on saying that. We have Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. This is a child's 3D action platformer. And I think this is based off of a cartoon, like a Saturday morning cartoon that was just all about Buzz. It's like, I think it was supposed to be the cartoon that the kid from the Toy Story movie was always watching that made him love Buzz Lightyear. But the game itself is very badly designed, I feel. I captured footage of this for the Dreamcasting episode where I talked about it, and I was like, this game is not fun, and I cannot imagine a kid having any fun. It was just, your character moved way too slow. and the jumping was imprecise, and it just didn't feel like it was finished. Like, it just felt like it was one of these licenses that Disney was like, you know what, Activision, you want to make a game? Just throw something out there real quick. We'll give you the Buzz Lightyear license. Do whatever you want with it. It sucks. I was not a fan. Oh, so what was it in the bees that you wanted to see, Mondane? What was in the bees that you wanted to see? I'm a poet and didn't know it. I found this at Half Price Books. I think it was the day that I decided I was going to get back into collecting. I had like a stack of movies, like DVDs and Blu-rays that I was getting rid of. And I went to Half Price Books, and I was like, okay, I'm going to sell these, and I'm just going to raid their video game section. And I got this for like $1.50. And it is Caesar's Palace 2000 Millennium Gold Edition. Blue Dolphin. Oh. You ain't kidding. Where is it? I do have it. Excuse me. Be right back. Yep, you got it right there. It's not the title. You did not have the title right. Anyway, Caesar's Palace 2000 Millennium Gold Edition. It is basically just a generic casino game. You got craps. What is it? Blackjack, roulette, craps, video poker, poker challenge, Palgo poker, whatever that is. Video Keno, mini Baccarat, was that mini? I can't read that. The type is so small and my eyes are so bad. Red Dog. I cannot read that. War. Oh, War. War. Sadly, I did see a war table when I was in Las Vegas in 97, and it was at the Excalibur. And the guy that was running the table had this most pathetic look on his face you've ever seen in his life. He was like, somebody play me, please. Justify my job, please. Somebody play me. Will you play me? I'll pay you to play me, please. Yeah, I don't really give a crap about this. Like I said, I got it for like $1.50, so I had to have it. Texas Hold'em. No Texas Hold'em. I don't think so. Nope. Here's one of, if not the most expensive game for this console. I got it from that retro store that I used to go to. People Play Games. I went in there. I think it was when I got a tax return, and I was like, I'm going to go to the video game store. I'm going to buy some good stuff. And I also had just paid off a credit card. So I walked in there and I was like, I got all this money to spend. So I grabbed a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to add to the collection for all my consoles. You know, I had a big stack. And as I'm standing there in line, I happen to look down in their cabinet right in front of the register. And I was just like, oh. And it was not ridiculously, I mean, it was expensive, but it was not like ridiculously like eBay priced. And I was like, I better snatch that up while I could, because I want to say like a couple of months earlier, I missed out on getting a copy of Rondo of Blood there that was very reasonably priced. I ended up paying more for it at the Midwest Gaming Classic because convention. But like I was like, oh, no one's gonna buy that. I'll come back in a week when I get my paycheck and I'll pick that up. And I go back and it's gone because someone else was like, oh, that's very reasonably priced, because you know. So I was like, I better snatch this up while I can, while it's still there. And that is Cannon Spike. This is an arcade style run and gun, but it's like top down. And I don't know if this was based off of an arcade game, but I've only played it briefly. I'm played it to make sure that it worked, so I didn't really, spend that much money on a bum game. But it has a bunch of characters from other Capcom games in it, like Cammy, and I think Jill Valentine is in this. I can't freaking read any of this stuff because it is so dark in here. But there's like I think one of the other characters from Street Fighter's in it. Oh God, Charlie, I think. But yeah, it's like this run and gun. It's like playing Contra almost, from what I remember. And it looks super cool. But this was, I think, one of the last, if not the last game that came out for the Dreamcast in the US, which is why it's so expensive, because there was a limited print run. So I remember seeing this at Best Buy, and I always passed it up because I was just kind of like, yeah, Dreamcast is dead. Yeah, Charlie. Yeah, I remember there's a couple. Like, it shows Cammy on the back. But I was always like, yeah, Dreamcast is dead. I guess I better just move on. But I probably should have picked it up while it was discounted for like $20. I wouldn't have had to pay what I paid for it. But this banger right here, we got Capcom versus SNK. I think, is this the only place that this particular one came out? I know that part 2 came out like on the PS2, but did the original ever come out anywhere else? I'm not positive, but let me know if it did. But yep, it's Capcom characters versus SNK fighting game characters, and it is pretty awesome. I like this one a lot. Cannot remember any of the characters because I can't read this freaking stuff. It's so small. Over 25 characters from the Street Fighter and King of Fighters series. Terry Bogard versus Sagat. Hell yeah! Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins, Cammy, Mega Man. Yeah. PS1 got the updated version of Capcom. Okay. Here's another one of these aftermarket games. I also picked this one up when I was out with Tiger Chainsaw, Captain Algebra, and Rocket Sauce back in August of last year. And that is Captain Tomaday. It's another one of those Josh Prods. You see, Josh Prod releases almost every single one of these. This is also available through Pixel Heart if you want to get it that way. But I have not played this. It is still sealed, and it looks like a shoot 'em up. The first ever shoot 'em up with punch. Okay, so it's a shoot 'em up, but you're like, it shows the tomato punching. That's how you attack. So it's kind of like playing Stinger a little bit. Had not played it, but I got this pretty cheap, so why not? I think I paid like $30 for it. Capcom versus SNK Pro. Gotcha. Here's another survival horror game. We got Carrier. This one was by Jalico. And I remember playing this one back in the day. I think I rented it. And I thought it was kind of cool, but I never felt compelled to go out and like buy a copy of it until, collect complete set. And it does look pretty cool. I need to spend more time playing stuff like this. I've never spent more than probably 20 to 30 minutes on it. But it looks kind of rad. I mean, come on, there's a lot of games in this console's library. Can't play them all. And then Atari decided, like, randomly, it seemed like out of nowhere, they're like, we're going to just rehash all of our old IPs and make, like, updated versions of them. Nobody asked for this. We're just going to do it because we have nothing else to release and we like money. So they did Centipede. A bunch of this type of stuff came out on this console and the PS1, if I remember correctly. I don't know if any of them came out on the 64, but whatever. So this is an updated version of Centipede. It's like in 3/4 view. And it's basically from the point of view of the little character you play as in the game. I don't know what it is that's shooting, like a little guy with a gun, probably shooting all the centipedes and other bugs that are coming at him. It's okay. Like, was it really necessary? Not really, but I mean, like, sure, I guess. Why not? This is a piece of shit. This was one of the last games I think I needed to finish off the set, and it was like, when it came to like the last 20 or so games I needed to complete the set, it was nothing that was expensive. It was just all common shit, but it was all common shit that I never saw. So I ended up having to get them all off of eBay. And one of these was this Championship Surfer POS. And I was sitting there going, like, I like some games where you surf. I liked, California Games on the Links. The surfing game on that was really fun. Can't really think of anything else other than like TNC Surf Designs. But like, this was just really dumb and badly designed. Like, it doesn't feel like a complete game to me. There's nothing to it. It's just stupid. But then again, it's about surfing. Would you really need to dedicate an entire game to surfing? Probably not. You should have made a compilation of other like summer game type of things with like that as one of them. But like as the entire focus of the game, bad idea. No wonder it didn't sell. There's another one that I got off of Amazon really early on that was like $1, maybe like, I think this was 50 cents also, because I got this and I think Bang Bang Gunship Elite at the same time. But this is called Charge and Blast. I have never opened it. It is still sealed. Maybe I should sell all these sealed ones that I have and just get an open copy later. But yeah, it looks like I don't know if it's like a light gun. Is it a light gun game? Jump pack? No, it's a standard controller. It looks like a light gun game, unless you're running around shooting everything. I can't really tell. Godzilla looks like he's in it. You can see him right there. But yeah, I couldn't tell you if this was good or not because I've never actually opened this game. So, anyone want a sealed copy? Hit me up. This one, I remember capturing the footage for it, and I was like, this is another, like, a lot of the licensed games on this console were pretty shitty. I mean, like, I'm willing to admit that even though I love console games, there are a lot of bad ones out there. Most of them are the ones that are available on this console, and this is one of them. That is Chicken Run. I really like the movie Chicken Run. This game, though, imagine you're playing a claymation chicken in Metal Gear Solid. No, don't want it. But yeah, you're basically trying to like find a way out of the what do they call it? Like the chicken coop or whatever it is, like the farm that you're trapped on because the owners of the farm have made this big contraption that's going to turn like the chickens into chicken dinners and stuff like that, or like it's going to skin or like defeather the chickens and like in one big movement or something. I can't remember exactly what the plot of the movie was, but there was like a big machine that was going to like kill all the chickens on the farm. And keep the farm in business. And all the chickens are trying to get out. That's the whole reason they're trying to escape. And it's like that, but it's like you're playing as a chicken that is like thinking he's or she is Solid Snake. It's not good. It's not good at all. It's really dreary. The colors are drab. It's a really ugly game to look at. Here we have... Oh, what was that? Oh, this is still sealed too. Okay. Choo Choo Rocket. I had this one back in the day. This one is a puzzle game, and if I remember right, they were like swinging around corners or something. It's been a long time. Lead your mice to their getaway rockets before your rivals can steal this scary space cats on board, or can sneak the scary space cats on board. Oh yeah, you're running away from the giant cats. Okay. Yeah, it's on the cover. Derp. It's been a long time since I played this one. I never really played this online, if I remember correctly. But I remember playing it back in the day. It's been a while. But yeah. What was it? Something Swirl? There was a game that was like built into the Dreamcast or one of the internet discs. Or the web browser disc. Wasn't it like Something Swirl? That's the one I think I'm thinking of more. I farted. I had a guy that I worked with at my old job, the one that I got fired from. The guy went absolutely crazy for this game. But we're looking at him like, of all the games that you have played, that we know you have played, why this? Sega Swirl, that's it. This is Coaster Works. It's basically like build an amusement park type of game. He did not seem like the most creative person out there. I never thought in a million years he'd be like down for this. But he was like, oh, I went out and bought Coaster Works last night. And I remember like 3 of us were like, huh? We're like, oh, you play your games where you kill people. What, why? Okay, whatever. It's okay. It's very basic. It's nothing like any of the ones you were getting on PC at the time. But for a console version of one of these types of games like Sim Coaster, it's all right. Best free game ever. Sega Swirl. Yep, it's on one of the web browser discs. This was one of the last ones I needed. This was the only one that was like more than $10 that I needed to get into my collection. And that is Confidential Mission. Still have not played this one. I think this is a light gun game. It's like playing Virtual Cop, if I remember correctly. Because I could see reticles and stuff. I don't think it's a first-person shooter. I think it's like a light gun game, but you don't use the light gun to play it. I could be mistaken, though. But I have not played it, like I said. I was just in a mad rush to finally finish this set off. So like I got this and I was like, I don't care if it works. I just wanted to add it to the collection so I could be done. It's pretty fun. And I'm like sinking in my chair. Slouch much? You can use a light gun. It doesn't say it on the back, though, does it? 1 or 2 player, VMU jump pack, standard controller, VGA box, jump pack compatible, whatever. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about the gun, but I didn't know. Like, I haven't played it. This one I remember taking or capturing footage from it also. It's not that great. It is Conflict Zone Modern War Strategy. It is like a real-time strategy game. And it looked cool. I remember when I bought this, I was like, that looks kind of rad. And then I played and I was just like, not so much. Ubisoft, back in the day, they weren't the greatest distribution company. I don't even know if they were making the games back then. But whatever. Yeah, I thought it was just okay. I played better strategy games. You can light gun with Sega Swirl. Can you use the light gun with the Sega Swirl? Ooh. Here's another aftermarket game, but there was like this wave that came out like in, I don't know if it was like in the mid to late 2000s, and then it kind of stopped, and then it picked back up in like the 2010s. And I think this was one of the ones that came out in the 2000s that I learned about way later. It's called Cool Herders. Harmless Lion Games. And I have not opened it. It is still sealed. I haven't really opened much of these, or many of these aftermarket games at all. But it looks like you're playing Pac-Man, but you're actually just trying to like herd sheep. So, yeah, that's that. And then at the end, like the multiplayer portion of it, you tally up how many sheep you actually managed to capture. And there you go. Yay! Great idea for a game, guys. Yay! But then we have this absolute banger classic. We got that Crazy Taxi, baby. I played the ever-loving shit out of this, not only in the arcade, but at home. Like I said, having like an arcade perfect experience at home was unheard of. You know, every time you'd hear like for the Super Nintendo, the Genesis, even on the Saturn, it was like arcade perfect. No, it's not. You know, this was where it finally happened, was the Dreamcast. And I think it was one of the reasons why arcades started to go downhill after that, because they're like, why do I need to go someplace when I can just pay $50 and bring that arcade experience home and play it whenever the hell I want? You know, I remember it made me stop going to the arcades a little bit more than I used to. But yeah, basically, you pick up fares, take them where they need to get within the time limit. The more crazy you drive, the bigger your tip at the end of that ride. Go and pick up someone else and do it again. And I think there's 3 different cities you play in. But it has like a punk rock soundtrack. It's like Bad Religion, The Offspring. The soundtrack is great, but like there was only like 6 or 7 songs total in the game. And after a while, they just grate on the nerves because I'm like, can I hear something else, please? You're driving me absolutely wonky. And then we have the obvious Crazy Taxi 2 because the first one was a huge hit. I'm not sure if this actually was an arcade game. I never saw a Crazy Taxi 2 cab. But it wouldn't surprise me if it actually was. But it's more of the same, just faster, better graphics, better play control, you know, more cities, stuff like that. Yay. I'm not sure about the soundtrack in this one, though. It doesn't say anything about, like, they usually have, like, a thing like, oh, my God, the soundtrack on here. Oh, it's got, what's it, not Masters of Mayhem? Oh, God, they did that song Crash. Methods of Mayhem. I recognize their logo down here because I have one song of theirs on my thumb drive. Methods of Mayhem. That song Crash is actually kind of cool. Okay, so here is a repro that I got from what is it? Oh, God, what is it called? Saurus. Not Retrosaurus or Gamesaurus. Oh, my God, on Instagram. Shit. Hang on 1 second. Let me look this up real quick. Toysaurus. Toysaurus Games. My buddy Eric at Toysaurus Games. Before he was doing nothing but Genesis and Master System repros. He did Dreamcast repros, and I remember this was one of the first things I ever bought off of him. And this is one of those ports of a Neo Geo CD game over to the Dreamcast, because apparently it's really easy to do this. I have a bunch of these that I got from him, and this one is called Cyber Lip, and it's kind of like a side-scrolling run and gun like Contra, and it is super cool. It's not the greatest game in this genre, but it's pretty awesome that I have this for the Neo Geo. There's a couple of games I have for this, or that I have it for the Dreamcast. I don't own the Neo Geo. You crazy? There's a couple of games that I got from Toys R Us that are freaking fantastic, and I will talk about them in later streams. But yeah, that's super awesome that I got this, because like this kind of stuff is the reason why I'm like, I don't need to buy a Neo Geo. I can just play all these damn games on my Dreamcast. Here we have one of the single most disappointing games I've ever played. I had such high hopes for this, and I was like, the fuck? That's what I just said. Cyberlip was on the Neo Geo, though. Anyway, D2. I love the original D that came out on the 3DO, and then it got released eventually on the PlayStation and the Saturn. It was a really cool graphic, like it's like playing Myst, kind of. It's an adventure game, and it had to do with like vampires and stuff. And I was like, yes, this is so rad. The twist at the end of the game just blew my freaking mind, and I was like ready for a sequel instantly. This is not what I wanted. Laura! I should refresh. Monster boobs. So yeah, I was super stoked about this, and then I did not actually own a copy of this back in the day. This is a 4-discer, though, I think. I rented it because I couldn't find this to buy anywhere, so I ended up renting it, and I was like, what the fuck is this? What you go from Dracula and vampires to like aliens in like, what was it, Alaska or whatever it is, and it's not like the Myst style anymore, where it's like pre-rendered movies that you're watching as you're moving. Like you're like, I want to move to the right. This movie plays of you moving to the right. No, now it's like free roaming. You control Laura all the time. You have a gun. There's aliens disguised as humans. It sucks. The voice acting and like there's that. I showed it in a video. I think it was the Dreamcasting episode where I talked about this, like where this girl is going to give you a shot because you got hurt, and she's like, this is medicine. Don't worry, just a little bit of medicine. You want some? And I was like, who the fuck made this game? It was made by the same people that made the first one, but they just decided to go in a complete different direction. It was not the direction, as far as I know, anybody really wanted. I was so pissed I never bought a copy of my own. I was like legit mad. So yeah, but you have to get it when you get back into collecting. So I have it now, and the pseudo spin-off game for the Saturn. Monster boobs. Here's another one of those games you just kind of have to have if you want a complete collection, and that is Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX. I don't really give a crap about BMX anything, not since, what's her name? Nicole Kidman was in BMX Bandits back when I was a little kid. I used to watch that movie and be like, that is one foxy redhead. When I was a little kid, I was like in love with Nicole Kidman. But yeah, it's like playing... what's it called? Tony Hawk Pro Skater just with a bike. Whoopee. This was one of my favorites. We have the port of Daytona, USA, and I know a lot of people were like, oh, the one for the Saturn, it's not arcade perfect. It's poo. I love the Saturn version. I love it. This is the arcade perfect version, though. But it's the exact same game. This one just has more multiplayer modes. 1 to 2 player, online multiplayer. Yeah. Hell yeah. This is all in one, what you needed 2 different releases on the Saturn to get. So I absolutely love the Daytona games. This one is probably my favorite. It's rad. And it's totally not like... Is that the one that's like it? Or is it... I thought this one was the one that was like Tony Hawk. Isn't it just doing tricks? Just with a bike instead of doing it with a skateboard? Yeah, I thought this was the exact same thing. Did you call him shut your dirty whore mouth? Fable and Diablo are the same. Well, school me a little bit, Peter. School me on the wonders of the Dave Mirra freestyle BMX. Please do. Anyway, Dead or Alive 2. I had the first Dead or Alive on the PlayStation with the weird jiggle physics of the boobs. They kind of defied gravity. Matt Hoffman, that's the one I'm thinking of. I'm sorry. I'm able to admit my mistakes. Matt Hoffman. I get them confused. I don't know bikers, man. Except Josh Brolin. Anyway, yeah, Dead or Alive 2, awesome fighting game. This one had like the multiple levels in the stage. Like you can knock somebody down some stairs and you're fighting in a new area. It was awesome. The jiggle physics were completely revamped. Now they're at least a little bit more realistic, but the graphics in this game were absolutely fantastic. They blew my goddamn mind. The graphics in this, I will say, are better than Soul Calibur's. But I do prefer the fighting of Soul Calibur over the fighting in this. But fantastic one-on-one fighting game. I absolutely love it. The franchise kept on going in weird directions, too. Why you gotta call me a hoe? Peter. Here we have one that Stop Skeletons from Fighting has ragged on. This is like a port of a really bad game that came out on the Saturn in Japan. And it's like a shooter. It's like a light gun game, I think. Yeah, this is a light gun game. It's Death Crimson OX. And it's like this remastered port of this really like god-awful, like beyond awful, like barely a game on rails light gun game. And like it has like a cult following now. It's kind of like Sharknado for the Saturn. And they ported it over because why not? And nobody bought it in this form either. But it's supposed to be god awful. Whatever. I don't care. Sure. I like the fighting in Soul Calibur better than Dead or Alive 2. I like the graphics in Dead or Alive 2 better than Soul Calibur. This is one of those games that just grabbed me from day one. You know how I love those Wing Commander style games. Well, how about we put it underwater? So we got the Deep Fighter. I loved this game. I absolutely loved it. It is exactly what I said. It is Wing Commander, but underwater. It is so freaking rad. I played this for hours and hours and hours. I never actually completed it, which is something you should not be surprised about. But yeah, this is 2 discs, and I played the crap out of it. I absolutely loved it. I need to probably beat it. I've said that a lot tonight, haven't I? It's not the best. It's not unplayable. I know the Saturn one is like unplayable bad, at least according to Stop Skeletons from Fighting. But he loves it because it is so awful. Here's another one that I got off of Amazon for like 50 cents or whatever it was. It's still sealed. Demolition Racer, No Exit from Infogrames. I have not played this, but it looks like a decent enough kind of car combat-y type of game in like the Apocalypse. Cannot comment since it's never been opened. Like I said, I should probably sell all these sealed ones and just get a used copy somewhere. But yeah, sure. Ports of Dino Crisis. The one thing that was cool that Capcom was doing was taking like PlayStation 1 games and then giving them kind of like a little bit of a visual upgrade when they came to the Dreamcast. They did it with some of the Resident Evil games, and they definitely did it with this because this is my preferred version of this game. Like I will not play the one on the PlayStation 1. I own the second one for the PlayStation 1. I do not own a copy of this because I'm like, this is the way I'm going to play it. It looks a lot better. But it's Resident Evil, more of a sci-fi thing where you're going up against like resurrected dinosaurs, like Jurassic Park on steroids. It's pretty freaking awesome. But I love this franchise. The first 2 games I think are pretty awesome. Third one, set in space, that's where franchises go to die. But love that. Here's another one of these crappy license games, another Disney one. I talked about this in the Dreamcasting episode, and I remember like capturing the footage for this was like one of the worst experiences ever. I was like, oh my God, this is one of the worst things I've ever played, and that is Dinosaur. Does anybody actually remember this movie? I remember I was like super excited about it because the trailer that Disney released when it was coming out, made it look like The Lion King with dinosaurs. They did the exact same trailer, which was like the opening of the movie, and it showed off the environments, and they had a really uplifting piece of music playing over it, and it was like right up to the opening title screen, and bam, dinosaur coming soon. And I was like, fuck yeah, a CGI animated Lion King with dinosaurs instead of the other animals. I'm here. And me and my friends went and saw it opening night, and when it was over, we're like, that was one of the biggest pieces of shit. And I've never watched it since. Well, guess what? The game is no better. It is like you're playing as a couple of different dinosaurs. You play as like a pterodactyl. You play as the Allosaurus, I think he is. I think that's what the main characters are. And it's just generic and ugly, and the play control is terrible. It is one of the worst things ever. Horrible. Horrible, horrible. You had Jurassic Park with more guns. Excuse you, sir. Yeah. Here is the one that Mondane was interested in. What does that say? Oh, I thought it was the Nintendo 64 logo. So we have Dolphin Blue. This is one of the games that absolutely will not work on my sports Dreamcast. So I picked this up off of, oh God, what's his name? He's on Instagram too. Hang on one second while I look him up real quick. Evil Jared. His name is Evil Jared. That's the moniker he goes by, but it's like something Wizard Games. Evil Jared, Wizard Reproductions. That's what it is. I got it off of Evil Jared, his Wizard Reproductions Instagram page. He makes like a limited batch of like kind of high quality reproductions, and he like puts them up at like random times of the day. He'd be like, hey, I've got like 20 copies of like Dolphin Blue. I'm probably going to sell them tomorrow. Keep an eye on my page. And then also at 2:00, bam, they're all up for sale. They last as long as they last, and they're usually gone like that. He did a batch of Rise of the Triad, which I loved playing on the PC. And I was like, I would definitely love to have that on the Dreamcast. And he sold it while I was at work, and I was nowhere near a phone. So I completely missed out, and I was pissed off. Eventually, he just made a whole bunch of them and sells them on his website now. So he did a batch of Dolphin Blue, but I was like, I hear about this game all the time. I've seen a couple of videos on it on YouTube. I absolutely need to have a copy of my own. It looks really rad. I think this was an arcade game in Japan. I don't remember ever seeing one here, but like Radical Reggie talked about it a couple times. I was like, I need to have it. And then when he said he had some for sale, I was like, yes. And then lo and behold, I go to play it on my Dreamcast and it won't fucking work. So I still have not played it, but if I remember correctly, it is a run and gun, a really cool side-scrolling run and gun with these two different characters you can play as. But I have not been able to play it because I need to get my other Dreamcast back into regular mode so I can play this goddamn thing. I almost sent Evil Jared a really nasty email saying, like, why are you selling me broken shit, bro? And then I find out about the whole Dreamcast situation with it not wanting to play. Certain ones won't play reproductions or whatever. So, yeah. So, yay. I got a copy of it. It'd be nice if I could actually play it at the end of this month. Probably will. Yay. Not Evil Jared. Not that. Peter, come on. Come on. Here's a decent licensed game. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's actually playable and kind of fun. It's Donald Duck Going Quackers. You know, on the Genesis, you know, they had like those Disney games like, you know, Castle of Illusion, and then you had the Donald Duck. Which one is it? What's the one starring Donald Duck? They have a Donald Duck game on the damn Genesis. What the fuck? I'm swearing. Quackshot. I have that. And then I have the Sega Master System one, too. The Lucky Dime Caper. They're actually pretty decent platformers featuring Donald Duck. So I remember going like, this one should be... I hope this one would be actually kind of cool. And it is. It's okay. It's a 3D platformer where you're playing as Donald. And it's okay. It's kind of like Crash Bandicoot-y. But haven't spent a ton of time playing it, so I really can't say if it's like amazing or not. But from what I played, I was like, it's all right. You know, it's all right, I guess. Sure. Here's another one of the repros that I got from Toy Source Games, Eric, over on Instagram. And this one I had to get because it is low-key a licensed game. They don't advertise that it is, but it is. And what is that? It's Double Dragon. So you're like, oh, Double Dragon game. Cool. There was a Double Dragon game on the Neo Geo? What? It only came out on the Neo Geo CD. They make it look like it's based on like the arcade stuff, like it's another sequel or whatever, maybe based on the cartoon. No, this is based on the movie. That really crappy movie that came out like in 1994 with Mark Dacascos and Scott Wolf and Robert Patrick playing Kogashuko or whatever it was. There are cutscenes in here before you play the game. It's like in the attract mode and in between where it's like it plays little chunks of the movie like in a little window. And yeah, but this one is a one-on-one fighting game. It is definitely better than Double Dragon 5. You play as all the characters that were in the movie and a couple of extra ones. It's not bad. It's not great either, but it's not terrible. It's definitely better than the movie it's based on. But it's not what I want in Double Dragon. I want a freaking beat 'em up, not a one-on-one fighting game. But they decided to take this franchise in that direction, and I think this was probably the last Double Dragon game they made before Double Dragon 4 came out. So, yeah. It's cool to have. I mean, it's a licensed game. Sure. I have not spent a lot. This is another one of those Crave games. I have not spent a lot of time playing this, but I think this is an action RPG. Yeah, I think this is an action RPG. That is Draconis, Cult of the Worm. I remember I got this one pretty early on in collecting. I think you have two different characters you can play as, but yeah, it looks to me like a Diablo dungeon crawl sort of game. But I do not recall playing this. At all. I might have bought this like at a bunch of games at one time, and I was just like, this one just got through because I do not recall anything about it. Sure. Here's another one. This one is D&D themed because I think this franchise is part of Dungeons & Dragons. I could be wrong. It doesn't have anything on it about not Wizards of the Coast, but back then it would have been TSR or whatever. But Dragon Riders of Pern, Chronicles of Pern, or Dragon Riders Chronicles of Pern. The title on this is weird. It's an action RPG, but the cool thing is you actually do get to ride dragons in it. I played it very briefly to capture footage of it for the Dreamcasting episode that I did on these games, and it was okay. Maybe Dragon Riders of Pern is like a novel series. I can't remember. It's not. I don't think it is D&D related. It's weird. Based on, if only my eyes actually worked and focused on things, I would read right there. Based on the best-selling novels, Dragon Riders of Pern. I knew it was from something. I knew that. My dad read the books. My dad was huge into sci-fi and fantasy stuff. Here's another one of these racing games you absolutely have to have. I do not like this one. It is Ducati World Racing Challenge, motorcycle racing, but it's just, I don't know. It just feels really cheap. I remember I played it to capture footage of it, and I was like, nah. Don't need to spend time talking about that. This is awesome. We got the Dynamite Cop. Hells yeah. So if you've played Die Hard Arcade, that is Dynamite Cop 1. This is Dynamite Cop 2, but since we never got a game in the US called Dynamite Cop, and it got renamed to Die Hard Arcade and kind of hacked in order to make it kind of look like you're playing as John McClane and whatnot, they changed Dynamite Cop 2 into Dynamite Cop 1 over here because we never had a Dynamite Cop before this in the US. Confused yet? But it's a 3D beat 'em up that is absolutely epic. I absolutely love Die Hard Arcade. I love this. Dynamite Deca, I think, is the name of these games in Japan. Deca, I think, is the name of the cop. But it is a pretty rad beat 'em up. There's quick time events and all this kind of stuff in it. It is super rad. I love it, love it, love it. This was it. Appaloosa did this. Yeah, Appaloosa. And then the engine for this got used to make the Jaws Unleashed game on the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. And that is Echo the Dolphin, Defender of the Future. Yeah, this also got a port to the PS2 after the fact. You love the Die Hard Arcade. Hell yeah. So this is an update. I think this is actually considered Echo the Dolphin 3. I don't know if Echo Jr. counts at all. But yeah, it's a 3D Echo game where you're behind Echo in the water and you're doing all the puzzle solving kind of stuff. You get to ram into enemies and do that when you're doing the attacks. But it is a really fun game and somewhat relaxing at times because like you're just chilling out underwater a lot, and it's really rad. And then they just use the engine for this to turn Echo into Jaws. Oh man, yeah, I remember I played the crap out of this. Not as much as another game involving the sea that we'll talk about later. And then these were some of the last ones I ended up adding to my collection because I'm not a wrestling fan. At least, well, I was when I was a kid, like in grade school, but I lost interest in it. We have the ECW games. We have ECW Anarchy Rules and ECW Hardcore Revolution. I never watched ECW. I know that they were like the violent wrestling, like they were using barbed wire and doing all the kind of stuff like the backyard wrestling people were doing, like breaking like light bulbs over people and barbed wire, and it's making everybody bleed all the time. I think a couple of wrestlers from ECW moved over to the WWE at some point, but never really watched it, so I didn't have any because I didn't have any interest. But yeah, we got not ports. Jesus, I can't fucking talk, dude. We got games based on that, licensed games, so yay. But yeah, I have not played these at all. It'd be cool to like. I know that the WWE ones are really good. Couldn't say if the ECW ones are good because I have not played them. So this one I was looking for at the Midwest Gaming Classic. I made a video right before, I think it was the 2018 Midwest Gaming Classic, the first one that took place in the Milwaukee Convention Center. And I made a video about the games I was looking for while I was going to be there. And I had other YouTube friends that were there looking out for them too. Like they said, hey, if we see it, we'll let you know. Well, I got a text. Like I woke up in the morning, I think it was on Saturday. I woke up in the morning. I was taking a shower. The convention was already open. No, it was Sunday. The convention was already open. No, it was Saturday. I woke up. I took a shower. I got a text message through Facebook from Musty Hobbit. He's like, oh, I see this game that you're looking for. It's at this one table. Come and find me, and I'll take you to it. And I ran downstairs, and I find Musty, and he takes me to the table, and it's gone. He's like, it was here 20 minutes ago. I'm like, sometimes that's all it takes. Somebody snatched that from under you. And that is EGG, or Elemental Gimmick Gear. This is like an action RPG. I was watching Hungry Garaya stream this on Twitch, and I was like, it looks cool, but she was doing nothing but complaining about it. She was like, I don't like the mechanics. I don't like the way the graphics look. I was like, whatever. Okay, fine. I eventually got a copy of this off of my buddy Felix the Brett from the Batter Rad Nerdatorium on Facebook. And he was like, oh, I know you were looking for that EGG game. Well, I have a copy of it at my store. Would you like it? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I ended up getting it from him. Cheaper than Musty said he found it at the convention. So, yeah, I had not really spent a whole lot of time playing it. I played it just to make sure it worked. It did. You're playing as a dude inside an R2-D2 style mech. And you have an RPG adventure to go on. Yay. So, yeah. It's like the world is in ruins kind of thing. These I don't give two shits about. I had to get them in order to complete the set. One of them is still sealed, and that is ESPN International Track and Field. This has authentic ESPN graphic overlays, eye-popping statistics. I don't care. Over 750 authentic motion-captured animations featuring the world's fastest man, Maurice Green, 3-time Olympian, Ato Boldon, and more. 12 international track and field events from the 100-meter dash to the hammer throw, and compete with athletes from over 10 different countries. There's weightlifting, from what I can tell. There is shooting, there is running, and there's high jump and stuff like that. I don't care. I really don't. Yay. Had to have it for the collection. And then ESPN also released ESPN NBA Tonight, which is a very generic based basketball game. I don't really care. I don't even care if it works. I just got it off of eBay, and I was like, yeah, going on the shelf. This one, though, we got Evil Dead, Hail to the King. Hell yeah. This license game, number one, based off a license I really, really love. I love the Evil Dead movies, not so much the original, but I love the Evil Dead movies. Can't wait for Evil Dead Rise when that comes out next month. This is a Resident Evil style game with the tank controls and everything, where you're playing as Ash and you're taking on Deadites. The controls are a little goofy. It takes a lot of getting used to. It's harder to get used to than the Resident Evil games. For some reason, like the controls are just not that great. But for an Evil Dead game, like a game that, you know, I'm surprised actually got made, like really back then, it was like Evil Dead wasn't a thing anymore at this point in time. Okay, you're going to license that? Sure, why not? It's actually not too bad. It actually reminds me a lot of like watching an Evil Dead movie, just with a lot more action in it. It's like Evil Dead, or Army of Darkness. Typing of the Dead, Sword of the Berserk, Technomancer, and Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Oh, I love those two. Then we have this RPG franchise that stopped on this console. So we've got Evolution. What is it? Evolution, The World of Sacred Device. And its sequel, Evolution 2, Far Off Promise. I captured footage from this one. I played it just a little bit, and it is like a 3D RPG, like behind your character kind of thing. And it's okay. I didn't get too far into it, but it has your typical, like, you know, real-time, or what's it called? The battle system is kind of like, you know, your typical JRPG. Can't talk my brain. Like, I haven't had anything to eat today. I am starving, and I am probably a little bit dehydrated, and I haven't had a lot of sleep. So, yeah, things aren't going as well as I thought. Anyway, and then part 2 is just more of the same, just with better graphics. And it looks like a lot more cool effects and stuff like that. But this one has, what did I just see that it was saying? Oh, it has a Grandia 2 music CD. Details inside. Oh, I got to send away for it. You sons of bitches. Yeah. Sure. This was one of the games I played all the time back then. Infogrames was not a good company. Like, they released a lot of crap. But for some reason, this game really grabbed me, and it's called Expendable. And it's like a run-and-gun game that's kind of like playing that game 1 that I really like for the PlayStation 1. It is just like nonstop action. It's like Contra, top-down. It is just nonstop shit blowing up all the time. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I definitely need to boot this one up again. I could not stop playing this back in the day. Another one of these crappy racing games I don't give a crap about. F1 World Grand Prix. Yippee Skippy. Another one. F355 Challenge. Passione Rossa. Italian bullshit. Another crappy racing game. Yay. Don't need to talk about it. This is one of the ones I picked up at People Play Games when they were shutting down. So, like I've talked about it a couple of times that when they were shutting down, the big weekend sale that they had where I was getting like 25% off everything in the store. They also were doing a raffle, and the prize was like gift certificates to use in the store. And the first night that I won, well, I didn't technically win. Only 2 people showed up for that raffle on Friday night. Me, with my stack of tickets, because I spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars there that day. And one guy with his daughter, his like little 7-year-old daughter, who had 3 tickets in his hand. And when the guy that was running the raffle from behind the counter, my buddy with the 102 Dalmatians thing, saw me standing there with this stack of tickets and this guy with his little daughter with 3 in his hand, he looks at me and he goes, "Do you just want to not be an ass and just split it evenly, split the price evenly?" And I looked at the guy and I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." So we each got $25 to spend. I spent that on my Mortal Kombat for the Sega CD that was signed by Daniel Pesina. And then they did the raffle again that Saturday, and I went back there that day and spent even more money, got even more tickets for the raffle. So I'm standing there with this gigantic stack of tickets because it was like, I think it was for every $10 you spent, you got a ticket. And I was like I spent like $600 there that weekend because I had just gotten my tax return. And I won, naturally. So the one game that I decided to pick up was Fatal Fury, Mark of the Wolves. This is also, I think, considered one of the best Fatal Fury games that's ever been made. I know Radical Reggie absolutely loves it. But yeah, if you've ever played a Fatal Fury game, awesome one-on-one fighting game. This one has like all of the effects and the moves and everything you expect from the franchise just done way better. And I think this is one where they finally perfected the formula, the way everybody talks about it. I haven't spent a whole lot of time playing it, obviously. But I love some Fatal Fury, so I was really stoked to get this. This is one of those heavy hitters I was lucky to get off of my list without having to spend a ton of money to get it. Teach that child a lesson. Here's another homebrew. This was, I think, the first big one that I remember hearing about even before I got back into collecting. I remember like seeing it at stores and stuff like that every once in a while when I'd go to buy stuff for like the PS2 or the PS3 or whatever. And I was just kind of like, I'm not buying no goddamn Dreamcast game. When I got back into collecting, and I was like, I always saw this one like aftermarket game every time I go to the store. Now I don't find it anywhere. Went to People Play Games one day when I got back into collecting, and I found it there on the shelf for like $20. That is Feet of Fury, mobile tactical dancing action. I don't know what the tactical is. It's essentially a rip-off of Dance Dance Revolution, but you're using a controller instead of a dance pad. It's the exact same thing. You can see it right there. It looks exact. The music is all right. It's not great, but it's welcome because I love a good rhythm game. I like the fact that the first big like aftermarket game was a rhythm game because this was probably very easy to put together. And if you've got some sort of a music maker program for a computer, you can obviously make your own tracks very easily too, as long as you have a knowledge of what makes a song. So there was that. You can use a control. I know that, but this one doesn't use a dance pad because there wasn't one. And the last game I'm going to talk about tonight is not one of my favorites. This is Fighting Force 2. It's a sequel to a game that came out on the original PlayStation, which that was originally designed to be Streets of Rage 4 on the Saturn. Got canceled. Core decided to take the code, make their own game out of it. Sony was the one that wanted it. They put it on the PlayStation, Fighting Force. It sold pretty big. I hated it. I hated the controls. I hated how clunky it was. This one is no better. Like, they didn't learn anything, as far as I'm concerned, between the two games. It's just a really, really bad 3D beat-em-up, as far as I'm concerned. I did not like it. But you have to have it if you want to get the complete set. And that is everything I'm going to talk about tonight. That is like the first quarter of my complete Dreamcast set plus extras. So, yep. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. My throat is super dry. I am starving, and I need to get more to drink than just this Korean iced tea. Oh. I will definitely be back next week with another Dreamcast live stream. And we have like a slowdown period at work, so I will not be spending any extra overtime for the next few weeks. So glad about that. I'll definitely be back next week. I'm going to have a new short out tomorrow because I haven't been doing these. Usually I shoot my shorts right after I stop doing one of these streams. I just immediately grab a bunch of games, talk about them, film myself talking about them, and then release them. Since I haven't been doing these streams on Thursdays for the last 3 weeks, I haven't shot any new shorts, so I haven't been able to release any. I could have just done it, but I don't want to shave my head just to do a little quick 1 minute short. Gotta make an event out of it. So I'll be back tomorrow with a new short, and then next week we got a brand new video game collection live stream continuing the Dreamcast collection. Also, I've been streaming a lot on Twitch lately. I beat Dragon's Crown Pro on the PS4 with Mondane Designs on stream earlier in the week, and to try to force myself to play these RPGs that I set up for myself with this goal of playing nothing but RPGs this year. Last night I started streaming Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS5 on my Twitch channel, so I'm going to be streaming more of that Saturday morning / afternoon before I do my other RPG game that I'm in with some friends from Florida. And that is my Twitch channel, so twitch.tv / the old ass retro gamer. I have the hours I'm going to stream up on my schedule there right now, so if you're interested in watching me play through that game, please feel free to come and visit. It'll help me get to the affiliate status. So I'm trying to like play as much as I can on Twitch to get the affiliate status before my next game, D&D game, which is happening at the end of the month on the 25th, I think. So I'm going to have that on the schedule as well. So thanks for coming and hanging out with us tonight, everybody. Play 13 Sentinels. I've been told that as well. Trust me, I have. I guess I can polo you to see your face. What? Peter, you're being super creepy. Yep, same as Dragon's Crown. Yeah, I have 13 Sentinels on the PS4. I just haven't gotten around to playing it yet because backlog. So yeah, thanks again for everybody coming and hanging out with me tonight and chit chatting. I will be back next week, and I'll hopefully see you all then. Chris, the old ass retro gamer, signing off for the night. Have a good evening, everybody. Stay safe out there. Talk to you next time. Bye. Thank you, Peter. Them thighs, though. Them thighs.